pretty much to deal with self-care and wellness. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because, one, I launched a new business called Serenity Palace, and it is a life coaching business to deal with self-care, planning, wellness. So if you're looking to transition into a new career, lifestyle, relationship, or divorcee, or just need some life coaches because you're having difficulty getting a starting plan. That's pretty much what we do. And we have our website, which is serenitipalacellc.com. So we would love for you guys to join us and go visit our website. And if you are looking for some life coaches, we're here for you. So that's pretty much why I started this. And I decided to have a group of people, friends, and people that I know who are in different areas of the social service field. One, because we have had the pandemic, and the pandemic alone has caused a lot of stress and anxiety to people, amongst people and families. People have lost loved ones. People have lost jobs. People have felt isolated, have had suicidal thoughts. So I think it's important, even when we're going through a pandemic or going through any kind of life-changing event, for us to also practice self-care and also continue our wellness, mental health wellness, because I think we talk about a lot of medical wellness, but we don't sometimes get into the mental health wellness. And so that's why I wanted to have this live, and I wanted to also just let you guys know what Serenity Palace was all about. So what I'm going to do right now, you'll get that for me. What I'm going to do right now is go ahead and discuss, let everybody go around the room and talk about what they do as far as their business or as far as in their careers. And I will start with me again. I am a social worker. I'm a master's level social worker working on my licensure for my LMSW. Of course, I have the organization Serenity Palace, and I also have Purses of Hope, which I didn't talk about that one, but I have two organizations. I currently work a crisis line, so I deal with suicidal individuals daily. So that's really another reason why I wanted to start Serenity Palace. And my background is from defects to working in the prison system to working domestic violence, dealing with at-risk youth, sexual assault victims, just a realm of different areas that I have been in over the 20 years. And I know I look young and beautiful, but yeah, it's 20 years that I have been in the service. So, so that's a little bit about me. I'm going to start over to the only gentleman in the room. Since he's the only male, I'll go ahead and let him get started.
My name is Kenneth Johnson. I work as a behavioral health case manager at Grady. I also have a business of my own called Uncle Ken's Bakery. And I have another business that I'm about to start. It's called Just Overcome You. With these businesses, I pretty much open up due to self-care for myself. Working in mental health is sometimes you have to take out time for yourself too and do things that make you excited. My background is criminal justice field. I worked in supportive housing, working with homeless and veterans and mental health. So I went on to cross that barrier and became case manager.
Hi, my name is Alicia Darby Bishop. I'm a family nurse practitioner. I also have a history of being a psych nurse. I did that for about 6 years, so I'm very well versed on the suicidal ideations and trying to help patients develop more behavioral skills during crisis. Currently, I'm a family nurse practitioner. Like I said, I work at Cobb Regenerative and Joint Clinic. I basically deal with patients with osteoarthritis. I do knee injections. It's like a preventative that allows patients to have like an alternative to having total knee replacements. So basically, that's pretty much what all that I do right now. Currently, I am wanting to start a business of my own as having a medical spa. That's in the making right now. So I am excited about just being here amongst these wonderful professionals.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Erica Black. I am a recovery coach / mentor, and I work with eating disorder and different mental health. I'm currently traveling right now with the mental health and going all over with the company Montanito. We work with eating disorders based off different mental health, and I'm just excited to join this group, and I'm currently looking forward to open up a group home soon. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Marina Rogers. I am a parent and family life coach. I am the CEO of Blueprint Hearts LLC. I started about 6 years ago because my background is in a lot of things. So I've worked at a rape crisis center. So I have a lot of crisis intervention background. I work with a lot of teenagers and leadership and prevention, education. I also work with a lot of parents that have defects case plans who are working very hard to be reunited with their children. So with all of that, I also am a published author of a journal. So I wear a lot of hats, but mainly I work with a lot of people who are looking to get their children back and looking to have different parenting strategies. And with that comes a lot of self-care and, taking care of themselves so they can take care of their children.
So hello everyone, my name is Renee Watkins. Thank you for joining with us. So I am currently in the role of a career coach. So I work with, of course, individuals who are looking to expand in their career, pivot in different areas, and really just examine where they are in their lives. And really we take a holistic approach because, as you know, a career does not just mean a career. It really is from your mind, your emotional, and everything else. My background, of course, is in mental health as well. So I have journeyed through, just as everyone else, in a lot of different areas. And then also I've dealt with kids in a more teaching capacity as well. So as you know, we are just all individuals who are passionate about people and passionate about what we do. So we hope that you enjoy our combo tonight. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yes, I do want to say that if you have any questions that you want or like us to answer, please go ahead and submit those questions in the IM, and we will try to answer those questions. Or you can just DM us if it's something that you don't want to ask on live, but you want answered by a particular person. Then you can go ahead and just submit those questions or comments into our DM, or you can email us at info@serenitypalacellc.com. So we're going to go ahead and move it forward because we want to get you some good information and get to talking. So one thing I wanted to tell you, for me, and I'll just start off and we'll go around the table, and we're going to start off by talking about self-care, okay guys? So we'll start off by, and I wanted to let you guys know, this is an intimate setting, and I did this intimate setting because we could have did an office, or we could have just did Zoom, or we could have been at, in another professional, but life is not always so professional, right? And we're not always professional every day, 24/7, and we do have an outside life. So I wanted people to see us in the real us, in the real setting, but while being professional too, and, so this is an intimate setting amongst us, so you get to see us in an intimate setting. And another reason why is because when I'm working with people, a lot of time I think people think because I'm a social worker, like I don't go through stuff. They're like, you don't understand, you never been through it. Or, you don't know, and you get that because sometimes just because we don't disclose all our information, because we're being professional, ethnical reasons and moral reasons, we're not going to sit there and just, come open. But, we do go through stuff. And I think it's good for people not only to see us in that professional standpoint, but also know that we are still human beings. And I will tell the story about them. So, but let me get to this point first. This year has been a better year for me. And I say that because I was able to do some self-care, some wellness check. And I'm still doing my health wellness, meaning physical, because I gained a lot of weight. And so I'm doing self-care. It's okay. And this year has been a better year. Most people know for me, in 2020, I lost my sister unexpectedly, and I instantly became a parent to my niece who is 5. She was 3 going on 4 at the time. And I have no kids. And all I had was a dog, me, and that's it. And so here I am trying to learn how to parent and cope with my sister's death. 2014, I lost my dad. Right after then, I lost my uncle. Right after then, we lost our granddaddy. And then we lost my sister. So we had a lot of loss back to back. And I felt myself sinking. I felt myself, even though I would get up and I would go out and I'll be amongst everybody and I'll talk and I go to work and I'll do my job, and I did a good job, you know. But when I came home, I didn't do a good job. And so, you know, you don't talk about it with people because you're supposed to be this professional and you're supposed to know the answers. And I didn't have all the answers at that time. And so I also learned that some of my niece would come to me, and she was so little, and she'd be like, TT, why are you sad? Or she'll say, TT, are you sad? Why are you sad? And I didn't know how much of me she could see in my sadness, in my depression, in my anxiety. And for the first time ever in my life, I had to go on medication just to cope throughout the day. And that was like the most low. I'm like, man, I'm so low, I gotta go on medicine, you know? And so I just had to decide that I had to practice self-care. I had to start doing things for me, and that took day by day. It wasn't something that I did overnight. It was me being vulnerable to people. It was me admitting that I was at my low. So that's another reason why we started this session and why I started Serenity Palace. So that's a little bit behind that. And my self-care consists of me just one day going to get massages, then facials. And then I was like, for my birthday, I did a whole weekend by myself at an Airbnb, and I felt really good. I was like, yes, this is the life. I don't have to wake up early. I don't have to fix nobody no breakfast. You know, so it was really good for me. And that just started into me doing more self-care. But not only did I learn to do self-care for myself, I had to learn to teach her self-care. And I don't think we practice that with our children. I don't think we practice teaching them self-care. We practice teaching them how to wake up and get good grades, go to school, be good, do this, do that, clean your room. But how often do you really talk to your children or your loved ones about just self-care? We can go when someone passes away, we can talk about that. When we have financial issues, we can talk about that. When someone is in trouble with something, we can talk about that. But we never have a discussion about, what we're going to do for self-care day. So I just want to ask you guys, what have been some things, some burials that you guys, or things that made you change and have to create a self-care plan? Or are you creating a self-care plan for yourself?
Well, I guess for me, as being a wife and a mother, I found myself, always taking care of everybody else. Typical mom, wife, trying to make everybody happy, husband happy, the kids are happy, and I look to them to complete me. So if they were happy, if they were acting the way I felt that they should act and do what I thought they should do, life was good. But at the time, I wasn't. I was more, sometimes I didn't want to go home because I knew those dishes was in the sink. I knew that, the kids had to be fed. I knew that the bills had to be paid. I knew homework. And my kids are doorstep kids. Now they're 16, 3, and 1. It was very hard for me. So I found myself looking to them to make me happy. And that wasn't working for me. So when I found out that wasn't working for me, it really took the pandemic to slow me down. Not Ubering people around and all of that stuff. And I started gardening. My husband went out and bought me some big, those gallonized big things that people use for coolers. He bought like 6 of them and put them in the backyard, and I started gardening. And that became my self-care activity. And journaling has always been something that I've done for, maybe late teenage years. And I started looking back at things that I wrote and started looking at things that I overcame and, just the bad stuff and the good stuff. So I started back journaling. And then I started back doing a devotional journal to help other people. And that in itself was self-care for me. So so right now, well, my garden is a hot mess now because we, everybody's moving, kids are back in sports and things like that. But I plan on getting back to that. But journaling has always been my go-to for self-care. Dream journal. I have journals for each one of my kids separately, just writing about. And then my spiritual devotional journal is also something that I go to.
I'm sorry, y'all. We having technical difficulties. Just cut it off. It's not working. Just cut it off. I'm sorry, you guys. Just cut it off. So, what about you guys? What about you? Yeah.
I guess when the pandemic, what I always was baking for my family for holidays and things like that. 2019 is when I officially started selling goods. I started selling brownies. I was doing what was a Friday $20 8 by 8 pan size brownie, homemade. So I went from that and went to baking cakes. And my cakes was the original cakes that you get from, your grandma might cook and things like that. It wasn't it wasn't the decorative decorating cakes. But then as people started asking me to make cakes, I had to self-teach myself on YouTube how to, design cakes, and so I could do birthday cakes and wedding cakes and bachelorette cakes and things like that. So that was one of the things that was peace for me. It's kind of, when I went into business with it, it kind of went from my peace to just business now, because now it's like you need to do this, do that. When at first it was just that thing to calm me and occupy my time. And I guess because when the pandemic happened in 2019, everybody else was going home, and I wasn't going home with nobody but myself. So pretty much that was just eating, watching TV, and just being bored and thinking about, life. A year later, 2 years later, in 2021, I lost my uncle, who was my father figure for me, which took me back. I wasn't doing things for myself anymore, because that uncle was kind of like the hierarchy of my family, with my auntie. So now that he's gone, I have to look at myself and things I do, because I need to leave a legacy for my nieces and nephews and whenever I start to my children, whenever I get there and get married and things. So I had to start switching up and doing things as a purpose, and not doing things because I'm just doing it to get to the next day. So that was a little stressful, and prioritizing life, and it kind of had some down moments, and I had to slow down, like you said. It slow down because going out every night, drinking, and it causing issues and things like that. So I had to slow down and really look at myself and prioritize life. So that's what the pandemic did. And my self-care was baking. Now I have to say, I got to do a little bit better job. I just say that. I do a little better job. But I'm still baking, so it's still peaceful, but sometimes you just meet demands and things like that.
Okay.
Well, for me, I originally was raised in South Carolina, and in 2014 I decided, after an 18-year marriage, I was like, I just couldn't do it anymore. And some people look at like losing, loved ones, like death is the only time that you actually go through anxiety or depression, but actually when you're separated from that spouse, that is also a grief. So for me, because I worked in psychiatry at the time, the healing that I actually got was communicating with kids, because I had when I was growing up, I had experienced the bullying because I was a light-skinned girl, and I went through like lots of transitions. I also thought about killing myself at one point, because of the bullying, because I wanted to be so dark because of, what I was experiencing as a child. And so when I moved here, I ended up working at one of the psych hospitals here in Atlanta, and I had the opportunity to, be kind of like a mentor, but that person that the kids would always come to. I don't have any children, but for whatever reason, the kids would always come and they would stand in front of my computer and they were like, "You're just so motherly," and I just was like, "Okay, you guys need to get out of my space." But I really love the fact that they looked at me from that standpoint, and so just being able to communicate with them from the things that they were actually going through, because I had actually experienced some of the things that they were experiencing, I could identify. So that to me was more like my healing process at that time. And when the pandemic came into play, it was like I was in school, and it just was like a moment in time that like time just stopped. And when that happened, I was like trying to get through school, nurse practitioner school, and then I ended up starting to do travel nursing. I had the opportunity, and this is where I really was like an eye opener for me. I had the opportunity to go to Arizona and was a registered nurse on an Indian reservation. Mm-hmm. And that was like in the middle of nowhere. And I was able to, there was like so much serenity and peace out there, like, because we actually lived on the Indian tribe itself. And, the thing about being on the Indian tribe is like, there were people that, lived not like in the teepees like everybody thinks, but they lived in like, I think it was like octagon shaped houses where there was like, the floor was the dust, and they had no electricity. They actually lived like back in the old days. And, so you had to like, the first thing that you had to ask them when you're assessing them is, whether or not you had electricity, or you don't have any electricity. But it was an eye opener for me, and like I said, I had a peace that was like no other, just being in that environment, because I was able to look at some other cultures that may have experienced some of the things that we, as African Americans experienced, like our forefathers have experienced even during like slavery. But just to see the transition of their lives, and they do live in houses. Most of them are like trailers, mobile homes, but they do not only live in like what you consider the teepees. But it was amazing. I was able to go to the Grand Canyon, and that to me was like true serenity for me, because this was the first time that I actually like saw like this is God's creation. And it did something for me. Yeah. And especially this is going through a pandemic. Yeah. It was all new for us, but just being able to travel out there and be able to experience those things that God created, it just allowed me to step back and reevaluate my life as to, I'm always hustling and bustling. I was in school probably for the whole time that I've been here. I've been here like 8 years now, but I had been in school the whole time, and I never had time to like have self-care. Mm-hmm. Never took the time. I don't have any kids, so it's just me, myself, and I in a house. And it's like, you do have to step back at a point. And when the pandemic actually happened, this was life-changing for a lot of nurses, because we're actually watching patients die, and there's nothing that you could do for them. And they were in the hospital all by themselves. So you were the only person connect for them. So it allows you to reevaluate your life and you have to live every day as if it were your last.
And I was working at Grady as a social worker when the pandemic first hit, and I remember walking in and like you look at the news and you walk in, you look at the news and you walking into the building. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on.
Right.
Like the news ain't giving this no justification, because when you walked in, it's like I started feeling different. I felt anxiety then. I felt a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
So I get it. And I commend nurses. I do, because as me as a social worker, I told them I wasn't going. Y'all call me. You can reach me, God. But call me, girl.
Right.
But yeah. So I commend nurses, because you didn't have that option.
No.
You did not have that option of saying, pick up the phone and call me, whatever you need. I'll call you to help.
No virtual.
No. Like and so that was, and I do, and I want to say thank you for that, and thank you for what you guys did during the pandemic, because I know for a fact that was not easy at all. And if anybody got it hard, y'all got it hard both ways, because you got to look out for yourself, and then you in the hospital seeing what the families and these patients and losing people. So I commend you 100%. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first I want to say I am a emotional eater. Okay, so I love to travel and eat. I like to go eat. I research little different restaurants and then go travel. Actually, like every time she's like, "Girl, where you going now?" Like I love that. Is my safe place. But the gym is also, but it's like I can't lose no weight. I'm just giving
you getting an equal balance.
I'm just letting you know.
Right.
Yes. The gym is therapeutic. As you know, I am a mentor. When you're mentoring people, clients, anybody, you're pouring into them. So when you're pouring into them, it's like you're draining. Mm-hmm. And it's like when they're down, you're pouring into them. So
but you ain't pouring
into yourself.
Yeah.
And so I had to find a balance, because it really, you can take home. You say, "Oh, I'm not going to take home."
It's coming.
That is a lie. Yeah. That is a lie. You're going to come home and you're going to take on to all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so again, who recharges you? Who, So I found out that just going to a different scenery, that is therapeutic to me. Just going out to eat. I don't care if I'm going to Houston on a Tuesday. It's a different scenery. I'm at peace. I'm okay. That is something that I like to do, and I'm a sucker to conversation. Like I learned that my family, everything was put under the rug. So they don't like to talk about anything. Right. So it was always, you'll get over it. It's always, oh, you'll get over it, or time, but they don't teach you, okay, so do this.
It's just a saying, or what's done in this house, stay in this house.
That's exactly
that's what it's saying is, and
so,
I don't like that.
Yeah, so when I got out in this field, because first I was just doing CNA work, and I was like, then I transferred, and I'm like, okay, Lord, I see you, I'm over here talking to these grown-ups, like older people, like, they still call me kids. So, and I was like, okay. So I had then transferred to being, working in mental health. I understand that I was going into that. So then after I started pouring into people, I was like, okay, this is what I need. But again, so my self-care is just eating, gymming. Eating, gymming. Oh, somebody said yes. Balance is key. Eating, gymming. And just kind of like, again, conversation. This is what I love. Like, my family can't sit. When do we all see this all the time, sitting at the table just talking? Like, we miss that. Like, we don't have that no more. Coming in at 8 o'clock, eating with your family, talking about your day. We don't get that.
And that's why I wanted this to be an intimate setting.
Yes. So this is good for me. This is
self-care.
Yeah, this is self-care to me.
One thing I wanted to touch on what you said was, I grew up in that same setting, like, what's done in this house, stay in this house. And I tell people, if what's done in this house is hurting me, if what's done in this house is killing me slowly, I'm going to speak out.
Right.
I'm a person, like, I speak my feelings out a lot. Either way it's in anger. Or if it's and I'll be honest, if it's in anger, I need to let you know how I feel.
Right.
Because growing up, I held on to that stuff, and I it didn't do me any justice. Or whether it's in like closures, or you know what I'm saying, or just in whatever. You know what I'm saying? And speaking my truth, because another thing is that a lot of times we're going in this house, stay in this house, and mean that we living in your truth, but I can't live in mine.
Exactly.
And I can't do that.
No.
Because your truth is your truth, and my truth is mine. So however you deal with yours, you can sweep it under the rug you want to. I'm taking mine out the front door, the window, the back door, wherever I need to take it. But you ain't finna kill me straight for no reason. So.
And I think that's a generational thing.
I
think each generation gets better at taking care of themselves, because if you look at your parents or your grandparents, there's a reason why they say push it under the rug. Because maybe what they have gone through, it might have been survival or them trying to survive. But we're different, and we're learning to talk about it. We're learning to check on one another, and each generation I think gets better and better. And one of you guys said, talking to kids or what the kids need. Like now our kids and our nieces and nephews will learn what self-care is. We're just learning it. Right. They're seeing it, and then they're starting to practice, and they'll be better than what we are. Yeah. So the healing can take place more, because that's what happens when you are practicing self-care. Your healing is taking place.
Right.
So I just want to it is very much a generational thing, because my family, they say, why you traveling so much? But you just don't know. I just booked a $40 or $50 trip. You get a round trip on a Wednesday. You get what I'm saying? Instead of a weekend. Right. I'm off on a week. So that is something. So they don't like to see
a way to fit yourself in.
But they don't see that. Oh, you just spend money. But it really ain't. You know, it's really not. Like,
it's ways around it.
It's ways around it.
But you
just because you want to sit in the house, or that's your thing, is therapeutic, but just sit in the house, that's your thing. My thing is getting out, talking to people, you know, meeting people, you know, greeting. So, okay.
No, that's a good point. Go ahead.
So self-care for me, I would have to say, so for those who don't know, I'm probably like the only person in the room who knows everybody. But then me and Famika are actually cousins. So she referenced the fact that, you know, we had a few transitions in our family. And I think, like, when we lost, of course, Famika's dad, that was, like, a big thing for me. I was actually at work with Alicia. And she was, like, my support system in that moment, because nobody else was, like, I don't know what to do for her at this point. Like, she just walked off the floor. Y'all gonna take care of that. And then we lost our other uncle, and then to lose our granddad was, like, the big blow for me, because every other death I had kind of swept under the rug, and they were the first deaths I had ever encountered, like from adulthood, and even just over a time span of years. Like the only other person real close to me that I had probably, you know, really had a real connection with, who had passed before then, was my grandmother, and that had been years.
We were little, we were young, we were like teenagers and stuff.
I was probably like middle school. So I was like middle school when she died. So to get to adulthood, and you talk to people every single day, and, you know, I hear them saying, oh, this, that, and the other, and, oh, I don't know how to, you know, to let go, or whatever the case may be. But then to get to that moment, I was like, this is not, I can't handle this. I also had, like, other transitions going on at the same time. So it was like work, home, death, real life. Like I was trying to go to school at the same time. So all of these things were happening, and I was like, I can't handle it. Something has to go. So, and it became more of me locking myself through, and away from people. Like I didn't want to go anywhere really. And so that was the first time I felt like I had really dealt with depression. And really having to not only deal with depression, but like really deal with my own feelings, because I've always been a person where I'm quiet. I may not always speak, you know, my mind. You could piss me off today, but I ain't gonna cuss you out about it. I might just hold it in.
And I'm the opposite.
Complete opposite. She is Hazel's child. And so, you know, when you get to a point and you just really reach your breaking point, like that was my breaking point. To the fact that you was gonna get it today. Like whatever came up, came out. If you came at me the wrong way, then hey, whatever hell force came out of me, you just better be able to deal with it and whatever. And I still might be like, oh, okay, hey, how you doing? Afterwards. But it was just in that time frame. And so after a while I really had to look at that. So like for you, journaling became like my big thing. So I have tons of journals where I was just like journaling through whether I was at work. I ended up transitioning jobs because it was like I needed that time space to really just have nothing going on. But most people be like, you're a worker bee. And Ken always gets on to me because I'm usually pretty much like going. But at the same time, like that was a moment in my life where I had to take a step back. And I didn't know how to handle that because I was in a work area where it was actually allowing that piece. And I was in there like, y'all need to find some work for me to do because I'm bored and this ain't gonna cut it. But it gave me the time span that I needed to heal in that moment. And just learning from that because sometimes, you know, you get those moments. Like I even started therapy, I think at that point in time.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing for me. But, you know, again, you transition, you move forward, and sometimes you get to the next phase and it's like, okay, life starts taking off in different areas and my self-care fell behind in other aspects. And so there's different pivots. Like for me right now, I think I've pivoted in the midst of the pandemic where I was like, I really need to find out who I am and what's valuable for me.
Yes.
So that even included like stepping away from certain things, and I probably couldn't really articulate it or explain it to other people at the point in time, but it was really just me like shutting down, not because I wanted to push people away, but because I needed to preserve me at that moment and really like figure out how to now preserve me but then move forward with me. So really being comfortable in me. So I do need to, because I do like to eat when I get emotional and I can tell the difference because when my anxiety comes, oh, the snacks is on
You're
one.
happy place. You want to be happy.
Yes.
And you ain't even hungry.
You know,
No,
you just,
the snacks come in
Just
handy.
because they
Right. And your brain be like, I'm full. But your hand be like, okay.
Meanwhile, little red.
Don't let me be happy.
Right.
Drink some
Don't, eat dinner and then be like, get a call. You want to go to dinner?
we celebrating. Come on, let's go. And then when you say, girl, I'm eating here. You still eating. So happy or sad.
Right. So that was another thing I had to really home in on. And then just what activities I liked. So I did come across like a hiking group that I ended up joining, and that was like a real good activity for me. I've been a little slack, but I'm gonna get back to it. I did. But just different points of life. Like even like we were speaking on COVID.
What is it?
Huh?
Is a question?
No, Valerie said I've done that for years. Very therapeutic.
Okay.
Yes. It's something about being near the water. Like if you go hiking and you find a waterfall, it's everything. But just being out in nature, getting to like really feel yourself, like notice like the sway of the trees or whatever that may look like. I think that has been like a happy place for me. Now I want to try out gardening, but I ain't in the right place. Okay, my balcony, it didn't work out. The plants started growing, but they was a little stifled. So
Try again.
yeah, we gonna try.
Listen, I just got to the plants and